time to charge up. Bringing you the vibe, the pride, the power. This is Charge. Hey, yo, Buffalo, you're gonna love this one, Sadna. Nah, I lived in a lab making this joint. Hours turned to days until it was perfect. Bill's Mafia in the house. It's the Queen City anthem, built on grit and grind. Buffalo style, yeah, one of a kind. Snow falling heavy, but the fire burns bright under them stadium lights. The Mafia ignites, we hold it down, loyal through the pain. Every snap, every hit, it's the charge we sustain. From the fans to the field, it's more than a game. It's a family, a legacy, remember the name.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love, built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bill's Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.
What's good, everybody? Welcome in to your NFL pregame show. Well, I was going to say we've got Dave, we've got Sterling, but there's a little extra guest that we got there. David, what's happening? Who's your fellow that's hanging out with us there?
My little sister left one of these. She likes to hide these things anytime she's in town. She'll hide stuff. So this was in my shoe this morning. So
oh. Well, I feel like we got to name it and keep him on the show.
You got to keep it now, dog.
Welcome into your NFL pregame show. We're going to go all through the divisional round. It's not just Bills Ravens, even though that is the creme de la creme of the divisional weekend. We will go through all four games on the divisional weekend and maybe even a little bit of a national championship preview as well. But first, we got to talk about this weather, man. This polar vortex coming down, and it's going to affect 3 of the 4 games this weekend. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it. I'm gonna, order a pizza. I got some wings. I'm gonna do some snow, a Saturday doubleheader. I mean, this is playoff football, Sterls. I mean, this is what it's about.
It is, and sometimes, what the kids say, Netflix and chill. We're gonna watch football and eat. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm doing today.
Well, I'm only good at one of those, and that's the one. So there you go. David, any thoughts on the polar vortex affecting the games this weekend?
You know I love the cold. This is football weather. Got pho for lunch today.
There you
Doing
go.
some stew for dinner tonight.
There
Watch
you
some
go.
football. Relax.
All right. Well, like we did last week, let's start at the end because, the NFL games are obviously the bigger games, but there is a title at stake. So let's start with the national championship game. Notre Dame, Ohio State, everybody really talking like Notre Dame doesn't have much of a chance here. And I'm not sure. We talk all the time. Better coach, better quarterback.
Sure.
I'm not sure that Ohio State has the better coach, and I'm not sure that Ohio State has the better quarterback. So, Sterls, why don't you kick us off here? What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, it could be a blowout or it could be extremely close. I know that sounds really cheesy, but here's the deal. I think Notre Dame can change this game around with the play of their defensive line. We saw Oben play really well last round. And then, they got a pretty decent to good, I'd say, defensive tackle junior, Gabriel Rubio that he's definitely a tone setter there. And then, you got guys like Jack Kaiser. I mean, just great. But Notre Dame plays a lot of man coverage. I want to know how are they going to stick to their tendencies and play a lot of man against these Ohio State wide receivers, or do they really kind of just mix up some of their coverages, get some exotic looks in there? So, but this Notre Dame defensive line is stout. I think it's really good. I don't think it's as good as Ohio State's, but I think, Ohio State offensive tackles, I think they could be had. So this will be a fun game.
David, any thoughts? Notre Dame getting 8.5 points for Monday night.
So we talked about a couple games last week on the pod where, like Sterl said, could be a blowout, could be really, really close and dynamic. I'm leaning into close and dynamic. I don't know. I think Notre Dame's coming to play. I don't think they're afraid of anybody right now. I don't think they care what the national media says. I don't think they care at all about that. And I'd like to think that they can cover that spread. I'm putting my money on Notre Dame.
That's interesting. We've got a friend, a close personal friend, who's highly invested in Notre Dame winning the title, and I've had to go through all these scenarios with him about. It was a big parlay, Charles. He didn't just bet it straight, but he put it in a parlay and didn't expect it really to come to fruition. And all of a sudden, we're knocking on the door. This is the last leg of his parlay. And this was way back, and so he's trying to figure out how to hedge the thing. And I had to walk him through all the different bets you could make on Ohio State because you can't just bet a money line. They're such a huge favorite right now.
Right. And in his favor, though, I would say, Ryan Day to me is a choke artist when it comes to these high pressure moments.
Wait. Hold on. You gotta stop right there. And now you gotta tell him your allegiance because there is a specific feeling and reason that you have that thought process about Ryan Day. So now say your allegiance.
Yeah, University of Michigan over here. So if we're gonna talk Ohio State, I got to talk my shit about Ryan Day.
Okay.
But
now everybody knows. Now you can say it.
But what I'm saying is it's completely true in my perspective. I mean, Ryan Day in these huge gotta have it moments, they have a tendency to underperform, and I don't think Ohio State's been tested in the CFP, and there are ways to beat them. If you play, you take away their wide receiver Smith,
hold on,
phenomenal.
You got to stop. Oregon wasn't a test.
No.
Dog. Texas wasn't a test.
No.
I mean, come on, man.
Nah.
Those are two of the best 5
water.
teams in the country.
They blew Oregon out of the water because
But I'm
Right?
just, you can't say it's not a test.
Not a
Like,
test.
yes, no, they did not play any
I-
NFL teams. You're right. Like,
Rob,
who else do you want them to play?
Rob, I don't give them any credit.
Who
None.
else do you want them to play? Who else could they have played in the CFP where you would have given them credit?
Jesus, that's who.
Right, exactly.
And the
Damn.
Angels.
And you know what? They would have been 12-point dogs,
Michigan.
you know?
Michigan.
Okay, all right. Somebody couldn't make it there, so
No, they weren't good enough, but they could beat Ohio State.
okay. All right. So David, you're betting on the Irish
Yep.
Thank you,
and
David.
Sterls.
Irish all day, baby.
He couldn't bet on Ohio. Come on now.
No, God, no.
I mean, he could. It's listen, your heart can't go with that
Nah,
that betting.
dog.
No, your heart can't when you're putting money on it, your heart can't get in the way there.
I will put $10 on that game and just, we'll see what happens.
You're willing to give up $10?
I'm willing.
I think they'll keep it closer than 8.5. I
Me
think
too.
it's a one-score game. It's so funny because if you look at the two quarterbacks, I don't think either of them are any good. And so when you say like better coach, better quarterback, that's normally a compliment to whoever you say is the better quarterback. It's not in this case. I was calling for Riley Leonard to get benched midway through that game. When that backup came in and started slanging at the end of the first half for Notre
There's
Dame,
the
I was
answer.
like,
Yeah.
leave him in there. I mean, just let him rip it.
Yeah, how much of a target share is Jeremiah Love going to get? Can we give him 20 carries this game? I mean, I think the run game is going to be super important. That's pretty much all they can do. I mean, the last game.
That's not true. That's not true. I mean, the quarterback run game is something, right?
Okay.
Like it's not nothing, but
It's Leonard and Love, right? And Jadarian Price. Outside of that, I mean, it'd be nice if some of these receivers could contribute or their quarterback can get them the ball, but that run game is going to be important.
Yeah,
The run game is going to be if it's the lifeblood of that offense. If it can get going, I think they got a shot.
Somebody get Dave King under control. Good Lord. The comment is Christ himself could walk into Columbus and it would be -9.5.
Wow.
Listen, here's something, and this is I think this is very true for this game. Even though Notre Dame has a large national fan base, their people don't necessarily believe in them, right? Like there's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome going on, whereas the Ohio State fans just believe they're going to win anytime, anything. And so just like the Patriots for the first 20 years of this century, and just like the Steelers and the Cowboys, there's going to be a bigger line because people are going to bet on Ohio State just because they love Ohio State.
Right.
And so I think it artificially inflates that line a little bit and makes it 8.5 now when I really think it's a one-score game. So I'd put some money on Notre Dame would be my choice, but
good man.
it's going to be, you know what's funny about it is I think it's going to be a really boring game. I think it's going to be a lot of running the ball. I think it's going to be defensive, and I can watch that and appreciate that. But I think the national narrative on Tuesday is going to be what a boring game.
Ooh,
Man.
yeah.
And the crazy thing is Ohio State have so many game breakers. Jeremiah Smith, Tredavian Henderson. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Let's do that real quick though. So Emeka Ibuka has fallen on draft boards. I'm not entirely sure why. I know he hasn't had as good of a year as it's gotten worse each of the 3 years he's been a major player, but give us just 2 or 3 guys on each side to keep an eye on for the NFL draft here, Strohs.
Yeah, Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver. He's he's more of a slot player. He's kind of a do-it-all utility receiver, and what I mean by that, he great hands, route running is impeccable. I love the way he can find holes in zone and just sit there and just be available for his quarterback. So I think he's, I got him as a fringe first rounder. I like his game a lot. Davian Henderson, I think he could, he's probably the second or third best running back in this class. You talk about speed and vision. He has really good contact balance. He could be a threat out of the backfield, receiving the ball. So I think he's probably he'll probably go second round in my opinion. And then they have another running back who was a transfer from Ole Miss. I can't remember his name right now.
You gonna give us all running backs here, dog?
Well, listen.
give me somebody who's actually going to be good in the league, an offensive lineman or something. I mean, Jesus, right?
Well, so they got young linemen right now. So they
don't they have a DT who's pretty solid? You got a DT who might go in the first.
Yeah, I hate Ohio State. God, I hate them. Just talking about them in this fashion just pains me to no end.
Oh, stop it.
All
right, fine. Then go to the Notre Dame side. Anybody on there that's going to have an early draft grade that we can keep an eye on? Really? Nobody?
An early draft grade. Okay, hold on. Let me.
First 2 days.
Let me go through my spreadsheet here. So I'll give you a couple Ohio State Buckeyes. Okay, Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle.
That's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, Tyleik Williams is who you were talking about. He's a game wrecker. I mean, the guy is very. I think he's your traditional 3 tech. But he has some ability to rush the passer. And then you got Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau.
Oh, yeah, Jack Sawyer. How did I forget about him?
Well, I mean, you talk about big play hunter. I mean, this guy is every bit of Sam Hubbard, another Ohio State defensive end. He's very, very similar. But what he does have, I think he's a little bit more athletic. He can give you some bend around the edge. And I think he's a really crafty pass rusher. So he's somebody to take a look at. And then if you want to go to the secondary, Denzel Burke, you'll see him wearing number 1 here. He's really fluid in his hips, can make plays on the ball, and he pretty much has shut down one side of the field this year for Ohio State. So we'll give him that.
What are the numbers for the other guys? Sawyer's 30-something, 33?
Yeah, Jack Sawyer, I believe, is 33. JT Tuimoloau is 44. And then
what's the tackle? I want to keep an eye on the tackle.
91. Tyleik Williams is 91. Right. And I hate that I know that.
Yeah. All right, you got any Irish for us? First couple round Irish.
Okay, so I'll give you. Let's see, who can we highlight here? I think Jack Kaiser. He's your will linebacker. You talk about athletic, can run to the ball, fast to flow, click and close. I mean, he's a guy that is very instinctual. I think you're looking at probably a 3rd or 4th round grade on him. And then I'd probably take a look at they got a guy in the secondary though that I'm really interested in. Now he's a sophomore though, Christian Gray. Cornerback. I think you're gonna hear a lot about him in the next cycle, but they don't have a lot of guys right now that are just all world or somebody that you should necessarily pay attention to. They just have guys that fit their scheme really well. They play really well as a unit. But
which means you believe that Marcus Freeman should be the next coach of the Chicago Bears.
Let's keep Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. The fact that they hired a black coach is phenomenal. Let's keep that going as long as we can.
Let's let that man be as successful as he can be. If he's going to go coach Caleb Williams in Chicago, I don't think that's terrible.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not. I just feel like it's not fair to him because I think he deserves the world, man. Marcus Freeman he's impressive. He's impressive. Such an impressive guy. I mean, if we go back and look. Coming into the season, they were in Notre Dame. They were talking about firing this guy. Like this might be his last year. Then look what he came out and did.
Get out.
I'm telling you, right? It's crazy.
It is crazy. Listen, he wins a national championship. He's the first black head coach, first Asian head coach to win a national championship. He takes a job with the Chicago Bears and just turns the NFC upside down. I mean, come on.
The Bears don't deserve good things.
They don't. They really don't, though.
Why are you hating on the Bears?
Well, they just mismanage greatness, talent, opportunity. I mean, the NFC
and wouldn't hiring Marcus Freeman be managing it properly?
No, it would be, but they don't deserve him.
Yeah.
Is this why I can't get a hot girlfriend? Because it would make sense.
Marcus Freeman,
I don't deserve it.
He's a Black Cliff Kingsbury with talent. I mean,
wow. I mean,
look,
of all the people you could pick, you pick.
Reason why because Marcus Freeman's an attractive man. He's got a beautiful family.
Okay,
smart dude. Played at Ohio State. I mean,
I didn't know there was a man crush on a Buckeye right here.
Oh,
but
dude,
look at this.
So have you seen him?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen
Dude,
him, but
he's a good looking dude, man.
I never thought I'd hear you talk like that about an Ohio State Buckeye. So,
Well,
interesting.
he's a Notre Damer for life for me. I don't care that he played Ohio State.
Yeah,
Are they
but
going to
he's
let you
not.
root for Michigan anymore?
Yeah, right.
They know what's good for him. They know what's up.
Okay. All right, let's get into the NFL here. I think it's an excellent slate of games, even though these are not, if we would have gone back to even like 5 weeks into the season, if we would have gone back and said, these are your matchups going into the divisional round weekend, the only one that you could have foretold maybe was Ravens-Bills. The rest of these are kind of wild, and yet I really like the slate. Vegas, on the other hand, does not. They think these are going to be blowouts. I don't necessarily agree with them. I'm going to have to do everything I can here not to pick a bunch of underdogs. So let's start with Texans and Chiefs. That game starts at 2:30 Mountain today. That's 4:30 Eastern. It's your ESPN ABC game of the week. Texans catching 9 points going up to the cold of Kansas City, and it will be cold. However, I don't think there's going to be any snow there. So
Nope.
you're not worried about footing as much as just staying warm.
Yeah.
Texans had a decent game last week. Everybody's saying they had a good game last week. I don't know if they had a good game, if you remember how bad it was before they started getting pick sixes. So sure, their defense had a good game, but we were all kind of like, how are the Chargers not up by 20 right now? So I'm not sure the Texans had a good game. All that being said, nobody's given them a shot all week. You're talking about a 9-point spread, and I think there's something dangerous about an underdog who's got nothing to lose, as you'll hear me say several times today. So Texans +9. David, what do you got for this on the injury report?
Couple injuries here. Houston, obviously, coming off of a win. Al-Shaair, their linebacker, who actually did play fairly well last week, is questionable. Robert Wood, questionable. Quintariano, their tight end, also questionable. And Joe Mixon, questionable. Nobody officially out for the game, so that's good for them as far as health goes. For Kansas City, Mecole Hardman is officially out. Jaden Watson, their cornerback, is questionable with an ankle injury. And you got to think about this. The Chiefs starters haven't played since Christmas.
Yeah.
That's 23 days.
Not all of them. Like the offensive line started the Denver game, but only played, I think, a series or two. So, but yes, for the most part, the players that matter haven't played in over, I think, 25 days it is or something like that.
Yeah, 23.
23.
And weather's looking like a high of 25. No snow predicted, but you're going to get a wind chill kind of in the teens and maybe single digits. So this is going to be an interesting game. I'm predicting the Texans to come out and look a little bit better. I think they got some juice from the defense last week that had been around, but you were looking for some of those big plays. They got it last week when they needed it. You're right, though, Rob. They didn't have a great game until that botched snap. He picks it up, throws it for 37 yards, and then all of a sudden they started moving. Before that, that game looked ugly.
Well, and you wonder if the quarterback, CJ Stroud's a rhythm guy. He always has been. And if he found a little bit of a rhythm after that play, then maybe he's back. But I think that's tough to bet on. Sterls, what do you got for this game for the betting lines?
So I'm looking at DraftKings right now. It's 9.5 over here. What is it? 9 points on your app there?
Yeah, I've got 9.
So yeah, I got 9.5 on DraftKings. So that's probably a much better. I'll take that all day. But against the spread, the Texans are 8-9-1 versus the Chiefs are 7-9-1 this season. If you want to go with the spread, 55% of bettors have put their money on the Chiefs with the spread at 9.5. That's wild. The money line suggests you go at the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe here with the Chiefs at 89%.
It's the Witch and the Witch. You've said that on other podcasts, and I've been watching you, and I've been like, dog, if you keep misquoting my little thing right here, I'm going to take it away from you.
Me call them what I want.
It's the Witch and the Wizard. Go ahead.
Hey, Narnia's trash too. But the under-over,
shots. Holy shit.
The under-over is 78% with the Chiefs today, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I touched that, but that number's 41.5.
which isn't
41.5.
huge. That's not a huge number. In fact, it's the smallest over under of the day. It's just you wonder how much the weather is going to be a
Right.
factor there.
You look at the weather, and then you look, like you mentioned, the Chiefs really haven't played in 3 weeks, and then that Texans offense is hit or miss, right? CJ Stroud is hit or miss. They haven't been showing much consistency this year. But if you want to, take Nico Collins on the over for reception yards today, that'd be nice, because
Well,
Nico is that guy. So I mean, they're going to funnel their offense through him and Joe Mixon. So I'm going to go with the Texans though, plus 9.5. I mean, that's a pretty big spread. What we know about the Chiefs this season, they play everybody pretty close. I think it was an 8-point game a month ago when they played the Texans in Arrowhead, I believe. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Texans keep this one close. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think they'll keep it close.
any matchup that you like or want to highlight here?
Matchup wise, I think whoever is in front of Derek Stingley, he's going to shut him down. So if that's DeAndre Hopkins or whoever they throw, I think you'll see him on playing some snaps against Kelsey a little bit today too. So look for him to be moved around like a chess piece today. And we got to give credit to their head coach DeMeco Ryans, who's proven himself this year that he's probably one of the top 5 defensive minds in football. So.
That's an interesting pick for a matchup. It's the side of the ball that I'm least like. Most of my matchups I'm focusing on are on the other side. But shouts out to Ian, who jumps in saying Sterling shitting on the Chronicles of Narnia is the only thing I'm taking away from this stream. I would be all we would suggest that you take away from this stream too.
That's fair.
I feel great
totally
today.
fair.
I feel great today.
Totally fine. David, do you have any matchups here that you want to highlight before we get into the picks?
Yeah, so Sterling, you mentioned it. Kind of this offense for the Houston Texans is inconsistent. You've got Joe Mixon, who is questionable. He's going to play. That's fine.
Right.
With this cold weather, you're looking for maybe a little more ground and pound. I just don't know this Houston offensive line versus the Chiefs defensive line in the cold weather, in a kind of run-centric offense, at least to start, get that game going. I don't know if the Texans O-line is going to be able to provide the push, and they may need to look at getting away from the run and throwing it a little bit more early on. That may dictate how this game turns out. I've got the Texans at least covering the spread. I wouldn't take them to win, but if I were looking at something, it's how many total possessions each team's going to get, because in this cold weather, if they're running to start, you may only get 8-9 possessions apiece. So an 8 or 9 point spread is huge with limited possessions.
Yeah.
Stills, you were on Texans plus 9 as well?
Yeah, to give me Texans plus 9.5 here. And then I'm going to give you a little sweetener here. Give me Nico Collins over 6.5 receptions, and I'll give him under 81.5 yards.
It's interesting. I wanted to see what the first half total was. Let me take a look here. Because I think the Chiefs are going to come out slow. So the Chiefs are -6, and you can get Texans plus 6.5 for the first half. And I kind of like that better than betting the full game, because I think, 23 days off means that they're going to come out a little bit slow. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, they could come out and just absolutely dunk on them with the fresh legs. But that's a long time to not play game speed football and then jump into the divisional round of the playoffs.
Right.
I'm really torn when it comes to the spread about who to bet here. Some matchups I want to highlight. Chris Jones absolutely is going to eat the lunch of the interior Texans offensive line. They have struggled all year. He is one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. So I really am concerned about them being able to protect CJ Stroud. I also, they've gotten some corner help back. The guy's name is escaping me right now. He's missed most of the season, but he started practicing this week. Trent McDuffie's healthy as well. You got one guy that you got to take away. That's it. One guy, and it's Nico Collins. So they're going to put Trent McDuffie on him. They're probably going to move him around. They're probably going to give him safety help, and they're probably going to let everybody else be one-on-one. Stills, you said over 6 receptions for Nico Collins. ooh, that's tough
Yeah.
for me because you got to be thinking Steve Spagnuolo is thinking I got to shut him down.
Yeah, but I mean, teams have come in and said they're going to shut down Nico Collins all
That's true.
season, and
That's
without
true.
injury, I mean, he probably would have had a season similar to Jamar Chase. Jalen Watson was a guy you were referring to earlier in the show a few
Thank you.
seconds ago.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Yeah.
No, and on the Chiefs side, I'll give you get Chris Kelsey. I think he's going to get over. I think it was 5.5 receptions, so you can take the over on that, and he'll probably get around 60 yards or so.
And he normally coming off a longer rest. He's the guy that finds some extra juice. So
Yeah.
I don't hate that bet at all. I'm gonna emotional hedge here because I
All
really
right.
do like the Texans plus the 9. But if I have to I take all my money in my bank. I split it up amongst the games that are remaining. So it's a hefty chunk I'm putting down on the Chiefs -9. But if I have to pay that amount just to have this be a close game, then I'm happy to do it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to
Right.
emotionally hedge here. I'll take the Chiefs -9. Make sure we're split. Money line, guys, just like we did last week. If you're just betting money line, who you taking to win straight up?
Chiefs.
Chiefs in the playoffs. The Witch and the Wizard. This isn't new to them. I don't care how slow they start,
You got it right.
unless there is a strip sack fumble or blocked punt or something insane that just gets Houston revved up at the right time. I
Mhm.
just don't know if that young a team with that little experience in the playoffs is going to be able to.
They're not that inexperienced in the playoffs, though.
So-
They're not. I mean, they played 2 rounds last year. The team has. They're not.
Compared to the Chiefs.
Okay.
I'll tell you this, and if we're talking about matchups specifically here, Jawan Taylor, right tackle, he's one of the bottom 3 right tackles in the league here, and he's going up against Will Anderson today, who has been one of the best defensive ends in the league. You talk about fast and bursty. I just don't know if Jawan Taylor is going to have the foot quickness and the hand placement to deal with that today. And then you got Daniil Hunter on the other side. So if you're a Texas fan and you're looking at a way that they can attack, it's those 2 ends that are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way they win this game is a defensive struggle, right? There has been more than one time the Chiefs this season have struggled to put up points offensively. Since then, they've added DeAndre Hopkins. You got Hollywood Brown back. Like, there's stuff. But at the end of the day, this Chiefs offense has struggled at times. If you're looking to plot a course for you to win, this is why the over-under is so low. You got 2 good defenses going against each other. And if you can make it a defensive struggle and make it a 1-score game, just like you expect Patrick Mahomes could pull something out of his ass, CJ Stroud can pull something out of his ass and get a win for the Texans here. So it'll be interesting. That one starts at 2:30, ESPN/ABC. I don't know if that means it's just ESPN on ABC or that you can watch it on either channel, but just so you know, ESPN or ABC for that one. We'll move on to the night game. Washington Commanders get their first playoff win in a lot of people's lifetimes versus the Detroit Lions, who are number 1 seed for the first time in I think anybody's lifetime. I don't think it's been a 1 seed before.
Damn.
So it's going to be hard to not feel good about whoever wins this game. It's a feel-good story either way. Problem is, one team has really high expectations and one team has 0 expectations. I think this is even more than the last game that we talked about. This is even more of the Lions better win this game. There's going to be a ton of pressure on them. And if things start going sideways for either of those 1 seeds, you could get yourself into something here. A little bit of trouble. David, what do you got for the injury report for this one?
So the Commanders are going to be without their linebacker, Jordan McGee. Bobby Wagner didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. He's listed as questionable. Bobby Wagner is a big part of the center of that defense. So that's something I would look out for, and I'd look for a matchup there. We can talk about that later. For Detroit, their defensive lineman, Pat O'Connor, and their guard, Greg Zeitler, are out. and Ennis Rackstraw is questionable with a hamstring injury and an illness. So not a whole lot of big names other than Bobby Wagner being questionable. You got to wonder, they're playing indoors, so weather's not going to be a factor. You're looking at a rookie quarterback who is really trying to cement the legacy of his offensive rookie of the year. Hard to say it would be him. Oh,
We
come
assume.
on. Sure.
No, that's what I'm saying. We assume. Like I think he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
And as far as injuries go, the one thing I didn't mention is David Montgomery back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you had said when he got injured that he was going to be back in time for the playoff game, watching that injury, I was like, no, he's out. He's done. We'll see you next year, maybe.
Go to enough doctors that you can get cleared and they can stick a needle in the thing, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Duct tape and bubble gum.
A note from Ian, our director. He's got that the Lions have 16 total players on IR. So, it's funny because those don't technically go on the injury report, but
right.
I mean, as Bills fans, we have experienced years like this where there are high expectations and people are not giving you any breaks when it comes to, oh, well, I'm injured, or, oh, somebody's hurt, or anything. It's not how it works. You are expected to be there and to get it done. And it doesn't matter how many guys are on IR. I think, however, it's worth pointing out 16 players on IR is a lot.
That's too many.
That's too many.
One is too many, like you don't want to see any of it at all.
Yeah. Sterls, what do you got for this game?
All right, so what we got here is we got the Commanders, who are 10-6-1 against the spread. The Lions are 12-4-1. So both these teams sporting winning records here. The spread on this game on DraftKings right now, it's at 8.5. I know some other betting services have 9.5, but the spread says you're going to go with the Lions with 52%. So you can see that it's kind of split here. The money line says go with the Lions at 90%, and the under/over in this game, that number is 55.5. And again, it's kind of split. So you got 51% on the over here. So I have a hard time going against Jaden Daniels. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think they can keep it close. I think he's made enough plays and showed you what it's like playing in the clutch. For him to, even if the game is, 12 points, 14 points in the last 2 minutes, you can totally see him throwing a touchdown late. So
they've literally won their last 5 games on the last play. Like literally on the last play.
Yeah. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take the Commanders here plus 9.5. If you're on DraftKings, that number's at 8.5. It could move before the game. I don't know, but the number has kind of stayed consistent this week across betting services. So it's kind of been around the same. So not much movement here.
I'm the underdog guy. What the fuck are you guys doing? That's me. I'm the underdog guy. All right. Any matchups you want to highlight, Sterls?
I want to know. It's all about the run game for Washington. It just has to be. This is a team that, we know Jaden Daniels can keep it run, but Robinson, I think he's really tough between the tackles. I think you have to go at these defensive ends for the Lions here. When you don't have Aiden Hutchinson out there and you got just guys out there, you got to really attack them. Terry McLaurin, I do like the matchup that he's going to present this week. And he's going to be lining up against, let me see here. Let me pull it up and I'll tell you. Arnold, their rookie, Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. So Terrion Arnold, he's been good this year. He's had moments. I think he's going to be a really good corner. But when you got a shifty route runner like Terry McLaurin, I think you can really exploit some stuff. Now they might have Joseph kind of shadow over the top of him. Kirby Joseph has been one of the best safeties in the league. I think he leads the league in interceptions this season. And then on the other side you got your boy Branch, who I love, wish the Bills would have taken Brian Branch, University of Alabama as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's really tough for the Commanders just because they don't have the receivers just yet. I mean, Olamide Zaccheaus. I mean, how much are you going to really put on him? Zach Ertz. I mean, so it's really up to Austin Eckler, Robinson, Daniels, and then McLaurin in the pass game.
David, do you have any matchups you want to highlight here?
So for me, Sterling, I know you talked about the running game. For me, it's going to be the Commanders' defensive line against the running backs. Now that they've got Montgomery, I don't know how effective Montgomery is going to be on that knee, but like Rob said, you stick a needle in there, you wrap that thing up, and you got to make it through this game, or there is no other game. So I would expect them to present the Commanders a really, really tough look. They're going to run power. They are going to push straight through the center of that defense. So I need the Commanders' defensive line to play at an elite level, which they haven't done a lot of the season. Their run defense is okay. Having seen what Detroit can do, this is a team you need to be ready for. And we're going to have that sort of talk, running backs versus run defenses, a couple more times today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. For me, it's your boy Sterls. It's Mikey Sanders still.
Hey.
I mean, he's gonna be in a situation while they're trying to stop the run, where he's gonna have to take away somebody one-on-one. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sterls, but I don't even think he was thought of as an outside corner when he first was, coming up in the draft.
Well, so he did have some snaps at outside corner with the Wolverines, and you saw him at times mirror Ohio State's receiver who just got drafted, Marvin Harrison Jr., and played well.
Yeah.
But Mikey Sanders still is all of 5'9", 5'10". I mean, he's small. He'll probably be lining up against Tim Patrick. And that's not a good matchup because Tim Patrick's a freaking Amazon.
Well, and he's had to play outside snaps in the NFL. I know he did in college, but I thought he projected more as a slot corner.
Yes.
And he's had to play outside snaps for the Commanders. Listen, I don't think it's just going to be Tim Patrick. I think he's going to find himself every once in a while on somebody who, even if it's Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield who's split out, right? Or Jameson Williams or, whoever. I think he's going to find himself up against a couple guys where if they're going to stop the run, he's going to have to take them one-on-one. And I think it's going to be a big load on him today to shut down part of that Lions offense as a young rookie corner.
And for the life of me, I don't understand why Noah Igbenogany is playing the slot for this Commanders defense when he's proven. I mean, he couldn't keep it together when he was with the Dolphins. I mean, this is his third team.
Who are you going to put? Who are you going to put on?
It's I don't know, man. You got to figure something out.
I mean, their defense is
no one else.
And Dan Quinn, give him credit because he has coached that defense to be good enough for them to win games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they need help at corner. They need help on deep. They need, who they need is Montez Sweat. That's who they need. They need help on defensive line. But they traded him away last year. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's
tough. They
just don't have the horses, I think, to keep up with the Lions. And God, I wanted to pick all the underdogs here. Sterls, you said you've got Commanders plus 9.5 here.
Yeah, and the reason why, everybody's on the wagon of the Detroit Lions, and rightfully so. I just think in these kind of pressure moments, these kind of games, you kind of see a little tug and pull here, where I think it's just going to be close. I think probably in the fourth quarter, you may see the Lions just pull away altogether. But Jared Goff is a quarterback; he's played well. But look, if you can generate pressure. Maybe some blitz simulated pressures from the second level, etc., and get him off his spot, you can find some success. I mean, they do have Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin is one of those guys, so who are very versatile defenders. And then you look at the Commanders' defensive line. You got Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, but you're going up against the best offensive line in the league. So there's going to be some challenges there, but I just think they're going to keep it close. I don't think they're going to give a threat to win the game, but it's going to be close. I'm stick with that spread.
David?
I'm going Commanders. I've been riding the Commanders all season. They won me a bunch of money. I think this is going to be closer than people expect. The only thing that may throw that out the window is the Lions home crowd going absolutely ape shit. I could
That's
see
fair.
this being one of the louder games we hear today. Um, and this weekend and maybe even in the playoffs because those Lions fans have been waiting for something. I know as a Bills fan, I'm with the Lions fans, man. I know how that feels. So to have the number one seed, to have a team that's ready to roll. Now, I still expect the Lions to win, but 9.5 for me, I'll keep it a little closer.
Yeah, and it's 9 on BetMGM right now, but I would bet the Commanders too. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I think in game there will be a moment where the Commanders offense scores a couple touchdowns and you could maybe get the Lions with a better number than -9. I do think the Lions win. I think we all think the Lions win, right? Money line, everybody's on the
Yep.
Lions. Nobody's got a big
Yeah.
pair of coconuts.
Not me, not on this game. Hell no.
I'm just making sure. I'm making sure no one's gonna sack up and take the Commanders outright. But I don't think the Commanders defense can stop the Lions offense. Here's the one thing that you can never account for, and I want to give him credit because I don't think he's had one all year. Maybe the Houston game, but Jared Goff turns into a pumpkin every once in a while.
Yeah.
And
Four turnover game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was maybe even 5 against Houston, wasn't it?
It
Yep.
was.
So every once in a while, Jared Goff turns into a pumpkin. He hasn't necessarily wilted under pressure, right? Like it hasn't. I don't think you can go back and say like, oh, he's terrible in big games. I mean, think about that the NFC Championship game last year. He thought he played pretty well. So I'm not calling for it, but if you're writing like we did for the Texans, if you're writing a script for the Commanders to win, it's getting a couple turnovers and Jared Goff turning into a pumpkin a little bit, and the Commanders offense just absolutely dominating an injured Detroit defense. So I'm going to take Commanders plus 9.5 and look for a middle at some point in the game when the Commanders offense gets a little hot. What's the smile for, David? What do you got? I see something in those eyes of yours.
That's all three of us going Commanders.
Okay.
I know.
Lock it in. Lions by 30.
Yeah, Detroit by 27 is a for sure bet here. Shout out to God's Child. He says, "What's up, people? Can't wait to play y'all. Go Ravens." We'll get to that game in a minute, but first we got to go to the opener for tomorrow. It's the LA Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now on BetMGM, it's Rams +6. That line has kind of wiggled back and forth a little bit. So I'm sure you can find it at different numbers on different sites. You have to talk about what happened in LA and how it's going to affect this game. They decided to go back. They did not stay in Arizona. We talked last week. I said if it was my team and I advanced to the next round, I would have stayed in Arizona. But they decided to go back. Of course, there's probably stuff that staff members have to handle there if they lost a house or a family member lost a house or something like that. So they went back to LA. They're flying all the way across the country for what is a 3:00 start. It shouldn't really mess with their body clocks too much. Yeah. But cold, snowy. There will be snow for this game, is what I heard. And so it's going to be quite the matchup. It's funny for these first two games. If the Lions are playing in Washington, I don't think my pick changes. If the Texans or if the Chiefs are playing in Houston, I don't think my pick changes. If the Eagles are playing in LA, I think my pick might change for this. The weather, the outdoors, going across the country. I think this is actually one where the home field advantage actually matters, and we all know Eagles fans are batshit crazy. So, David, what do you got on the injury report for this one?
So we got a couple here. After last week's game for the Rams, Larrell Murchison, the defensive tackle, and Troy Reeder, the linebacker, are both out. Akella Witherspoon is questionable. So is the nose tackle, Bobby Brown, and Alaric Jackson, the tackle. for Philadelphia, they're pretty healthy right now. It's only their defensive tackle, Bryant Young, listed as out. A couple people with no designation, but who did limited practice throughout the week. And for the weather, high of 36 degrees a little bit before the game, expecting about 1 to 3 inches of snow on tomorrow. So, like you said, Rams used to either playing indoors or in nice weather in Southern California or in Arizona or wherever. They're going to get hit in the face with cold weather and snow, something they're not used to. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Eagles. Like you said, if it were the other way, if they were going across country and playing in LA, would I take the Rams? Maybe. But I have an interesting take for later on the matchup. So, Sterling, what do you got?
Well, I'm gonna. The Rams are 10-8 against the spread this season. The Eagles are 12-6. I mean, you want to talk about defense? This is going to be your game for defense. So, let's go with what the community is suggesting here. So we got the Rams on the spread at 61%. That's a little surprising here. The money line is 75% on the Eagles. And then you have on the under over, the number's at 42.5, which I think is pretty low. And 71% of bettors have their money on the over. We've been talking about the Rams all season. Well, since they played the Bills, right? And I really do think that this could be the team that represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. I mean, when you look at that defensive line and what they've been able to do, I mean, they put a clinic on, the Vikings last week. And this is something, we've seen them as the season has gone on. They got those two rookies, Brandon Fiske, Jared Verse. I mean, these guys are absolutely game wreckers. And so I look at the Eagles, okay, and that locker room, we've discussed it. It's in disarray to where you have your star wide receiver reading a book on the sideline during a game. I think their luck runs out this week. I'm going to go with the Rams plus the 6, and I would even venture to say that the Rams win this game. So I'll put money on the money line as well.
Wow. Okay. All right. Is there any specific matchup that you want to highlight to make that point?
Does that sound crazy?
Yeah.
Sterling, Josh Allen's not the only one who's a cantaloupe farmer. You got a big pair.
Hey, man. Look, Matt Stafford, I have a hard time betting against Matt Stafford in games like this. I mean, that guy, he's ice in the veins. But I'm going to look at, if I had a matchup specifically, I would say Kobe Turner, their defensive tackle, and I think Cam Jurgens is their center. I think he's the weakest link on that defensive line, so on that interior. So, I mean, if Kobe Turner, Brandon Fiske, if these guys can kind of shoot some gaps here or at points and times, or plug, and kind of let these, Roseboom and Spates, their linebacker, kind of feed and eat and stuff like that. I really do think that they can control the game here. Let's not also forget that these two teams, they played each other earlier in the season where, we saw Saquon Barkley just bust out in the second half. I do think they're going to have a recipe to limit him. And then, so what that means is you're going to see a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts, who, good quarterback, but I just don't think that I don't like the matchup. I don't like the matchup. I mean, Carnell Lake, Witherspoon. I mean, these guys are really good. They're underrated. Cameron Curl, formula of the Commanders. I think that defense for the Rams is underrated.
Ooh, I'm gonna light you up for that. David, you got any matchups you want to highlight?
Wow.
So I agree with Sterls on one thing. That boy Jared Verse is a monster. For a rookie to come in and do what he's done, Jared Verse is absolutely money. How do you neutralize somebody that good?
Yeah,
Run
you
straight at him. You load up a tight end, you pull a fullback, you add an extra lineman like the Bills do, and you run straight at him. I think this is a game where you don't want to put it in your quarterback's hands. You want Saquon to set the tone, set the pace, ground and pound, especially when it's cold. This indoor team for the Rams, I like them, but they're coming to cold weather on the other side of the country. They're not going to be used to that. And that first time Saquon or one of the tight ends or a sixth offensive lineman comes and puts you in the fucking dirt, you're going to learn something about that team.
Hey, I mean, you make some solid points there. I just think, man, the Rams. I'm telling you, they're a force.
I
They are a
I,
force.
I like the Rams, and you're right. Stafford really good. I'm just saying, if they can get the run game going,
Yeah,
Philadelphia doesn't need to lean on their quarterback.
So when the playoffs started, or the last couple weeks before the playoffs, I was really in my head thinking I might have the Rams as like my sleeper Super Bowl team, 100%. And when the playoffs started, I'm like, I'm loving the Rams as my sleeper team. And then the wildfires happened. I'm like, I still like them. I still think they've got that. We're playing for something. I still like it. And then at the change of the week here, after they won on Monday night, I'm thinking to myself, man, Rams, Eagles, that might be my pick for the upset of the week. And as the week's gone on, you know what I've talked myself into?
losing.
Ain't no way it's happening. Ain't no way it's happening. The best part of that Rams defense is their defensive line, right? On a
Yeah.
cold, snowy day. Who's got the offensive line to handle that defensive line? The Philadelphia Eagles. Flip it around. How do you feel about the Rams offensive line?
Ooh,
Not great.
It's
Not great. Let's talk about that Eagles defensive line.
Monster.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
of the best. One of
Yeah.
the best in the league. All right. If we're talking about Vic Fangio, can he shut down Sean McVay? Absolutely. Right? They've been super dependent on Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp hasn't looked very good. It is going to be a cold, snowy day. I like Matt Stafford a lot. And granted, a lot of the times, so his numbers in cold weather are not great. He's like 1-9 or something like that. But if you are, granted, that is a lot of Detroit Lion football there, so I
Sure.
don't want to hold it against him too much.
Sure.
But going into this game, if he can't be an X factor, like if he can't be the best quarterback in the league with a laser show, then I don't think the Rams have much of a chance. Kyron Williams is hurt. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts does not have to throw a single pass for them to win this game. And to that point, Ian, our director, sends me this note: Saquon's over under 110.5 yards. 110.5 yards. Okay. All right. This Eagles team can just literally run the ball all day and run right at those Rams defenders. I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles -6. I like the Eagles -10. I unfortunately, like I said, the Rams were my sleeper pick, but with the way this all played out, they're in some trouble. Because Matt Stafford cannot be the X factor that he should be.
So you're flip flopping. I got it. I see how you are.
No, I was presented with new information and changed my mind, which we should normalize.
It's science, Sterling.
Yeah, which we should absolutely normalize people doing. If you get new information, maybe change what you're going to do. You don't have to stay with the one thing. Okay, so I'm on Eagles to win and -6. David, you're on Eagles to win and -6.
Yes, sir.
And Sterls, you're on the Rams +6 and Rams to win.
Yes, sir. I am.
All right. Well, I'm putting it down. Unfortunately, you're outvoted, Sterls.
That's okay.
Eagles are our pick for that one. All right.
All right.
To the game of the week, and Cyborg wanted to chime in early here. Had a couple Ravens fans in the chat. Lamar sending the Bills to Cabo. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Okay, you get the point. Yeah, the game of the weekend, the apple of our eye, the diamond of the divisional round. It's Ravens at Bills, and Ravens are the favorite. -1 right now. Now the VIG is changing. Ravens -1 is -115. Bills +1 is -105. Means they want you to bet on the Bills. It means money's still coming in on the Ravens. That's kind of crazy to me. They don't want to move that spread up to 1.5. It was there earlier in the week. They definitely don't want to move it to 2, but they're trying to entice you to bet on the Bills +1. I think it is a symptom of the media across the country. There is
Yeah.
not a lot of belief in the Bills right now. Shockingly, if you go almost anywhere, the majority of the picks are on the Ravens. Seems like everybody forgot that this game is being played in Buffalo. I don't know. It's real interesting to me and just a tad bit disrespectful. But let's go through the injury reports, which there's only one big one for this. Everybody else seems to be healthy and ready to go. Go ahead and give it to us, David.
So Zay Flowers, no practice all week. Obviously, Baltimore's top receiver missed last week's first round playoff game. He is listed as doubtful, and per the league, doubtful means unlikely to play. What I heard sometime this week, and I can't remember who, it was a 3 to 5 week kind of injury. Again, could you put a needle in it and wrap it up? Yeah, maybe. On basically frozen turf, do you want to do that? Do you want to risk that knee just absolutely exploding? I don't think I would, but I'm not the coach. Also, Deontay Hardy, their other wide receiver, speedy guy, former Buffalo Bill, is questionable again, second week in a row. And for Buffalo, the only one on the injury report is Ray Davis, who is yet to clear concussion protocol. Weather is going to be interesting. You're looking at a high of 18 tomorrow, low of 10, wind chill at or below 0 with some snow.
Raven for life 716. I guess that's a Raven fan living in Buffalo. Says John Harbaugh most road playoff wins on the road in NFL history. I'm assuming you mean road ROAD, but it's a Ravens fan, so we can only expect so much. But I take your point. He has also been around for forever, and I bet you a lot of those road playoff wins are in the wild card round because he didn't win the division. So congratulations, most road wild card playoff wins. What I can tell you is he doesn't have a road playoff win in Buffalo because they lost 17-3 last time they played there. So Sterles, what do you got on the betting lines for this one?
You're funny.
Hey man, come at the king. You better not miss.
That's hilarious.
RODE makes microphones. That's not how you spell going on the road.
Oh wow, I love it. Okay, so the Ravens against the spread this season is 11-6-1, while the Bills are 11-7. I mean, these teams are very identical from the metrics on offense and defense. If you're looking to bet the spread this week in this game, on DraftKings, that spread is at 1.5, and the Bills are favored there at 55% on the Bills. The money line suggests that you pick the Bills at 51% here, and then the under-over in this game, that number is at 51.5. People have picked the over 53%. So, I mean, it's pretty split down the line on all three of those categories. I'm going to go with the Bills here. I have a hard time picking against them in Buffalo. I just think, we're going to see a legacy game here from Josh Allen. We've seen him do it in divisional games in Buffalo. I think it's going to be one of those weeks where this offense really takes off. So both offenses will probably perform pretty well. That 51.5, I'm waffling on. I don't know if I'd put my money there. If you want to, take the over. But I just think this game might look like completely different than what the media and what everybody's kind of pumped into you. So I'm going to still stick with my bet here. I'm going to take the Bills plus the 1.5.
It's interesting. You have two historical offenses here, right? That both average 30 points a game. They are incredible. And that's why everybody's so hyped up about this game. It's why the over-under is so high, set at 51.5. It's not the highest of the weekend, but still pretty high for what's going to be the coldest game of the weekend. I mean, the real field temperature is going to be 0. I mean, it's going to be, you could get into negative for the real field temperature.
Right.
Temperatures, the air temperature is going to be single digits, probably around 8 to 10 degrees. And so
with wind.
Right. And so, expecting these teams to perform in those kind of conditions for an over under of 51.5, that's a tall task.
That's
if you ask
very
me.
Tall task. And I think
Not for me.
Okay. Well, we'll get there.
Throwing the ball in that stadium that cold, that ball is going to feel like a brick. right? So, I think that's an advantage for the Bills. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson doesn't have a strong arm, but let's be honest, Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the league. I mean, you're going to have to cut through that wind, that cold, and then, look who he's throwing to. The receivers for the Ravens, without Zay Flowers, it's not that inspiring. So does the market of target share go to the tight ends or whatever? So I just think, not that the Buffalo Bills game plan is going to be simple, because you got a lot to think about. But I think just with that weather aspect, I think it's just a slight advantage for the Bills in that area.
John Soyuravong, I don't know if I got that right, says the Ravens dude is just a troll. Yeah, I mean, we know. That's why I made fun of him a little bit. But hey, listen, we welcome them all here. Everybody's welcome here. So Sterls, you like that for your matchup? Anything else that you want to highlight before we get to David here?
Yes. I'm looking at the wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills going against these Ravens DBs, okay? And we kind of talked about it earlier in the show, but when you got guys like Brandon Stevens on one side, he can be had. I think this is a game where you're going to throw the ball deep and expect the Ravens to commit, a holding, pass interference penalty or something like that. But I think, you're going to see the Bills take their chances down the field here. I think it might be a little difficult for the Bills to establish the run game early with James Cook. I think they're going to have to get the pass game going first and then see what kind of lanes open up for them later in the game. So I think that Brandon Stevens point here, I think that's who you need to target with Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman.
David, any thoughts on a matchup you want to highlight here?
A bunch. This game is going to be amazing. I think no matter what, both sides have to worry about the run game. Obviously, the Bills last week started moving into that kind of odd mirror where you've got three defensive linemen and you've got a bunch of people kind of covering the back. I think they're going to use that. They're going to try and contain as much as you can an amazing quarterback in Lamar Jackson. If they can get Derrick Henry to stop his feet at the line or behind the line, that's how you get him to lose yards or at least not pile drive somebody's head into the snow and keep running. So for me, it's going to be obviously that offensive line of the Ravens versus the defense, which I think isn't going to look the same as it has over the last couple weeks. I think they're going to throw a couple different things out there and really try and contain, especially without Zay Flowers. You try and control your tight ends and you focus on that run game and try and keep Lamar tight. Also look for the kickers. A cold, windy day. If any of these offenses decide they can't go for it on fourth and they decide to kick, I don't know how confident either team is in their kickers going distance in the wind, in the cold, when that ball feels like a rock.
Yeah, no doubt. Couple Connors jumped into the chat and said, "Go Bills." We'll say, "Go Bills" back to you. We are 3 Bills fans here, so you can take our advice with a grain of salt. But I do think the narrative and the media coverage of this game has kind of gotten away from what is really on deck here. And granted, you have a game to look back on from earlier in the season. I just don't think it's worth very much. Of course I don't. I'm a Bills fan. But you had an injured team, and I just don't. If you expect this game to look like that game, I think you're going to be mistaken. I think you're gonna have a surprise on deck for you here. So, to me, let me just run down a couple things here.
All right.
If you're going Joe Brady versus Zach Orr, who do you like in that coaching matchup?
Give me Brady.
Yeah.
Brady, right? If you're going Todd Monken versus Sean McDermott / Bobby Babich, who you taking?
Monken.
I'm taking Babich and McDermott.
I mean, I hope so.
Twice on
think
Sunday.
They've done it well in the past, not against Monken, but against Baltimore without Henry. I think they can, but right now that offense is humming.
If you're asking Bills offensive line versus Ravens defensive line, who you taking?
Bills offensive line. I think that's the best line group out of the 4 offense and defense between the 2 teams. That's the number 1 group.
And we can say, let me change it. Bills offensive line versus Ravens front 7, because I think I want to give credit to their linebackers who are incredible. But I would still take Bills offensive line there personally, right? And then if you flip it around and you say Ravens offensive line versus Bills front seven, I think that's closer to a push than a lot of people are saying. So
I'd still lean Baltimore there.
Yeah, I'd go Baltimore.
But not by a whole lot. I worry more about Project Pat, their fullback, and their tight ends also blocking, but then being able to leak out and cause damage in the passing game. So,
and what are the Bills linebackers known for?
Coverage,
right? I mean, that's how this defense is built. So if they go with a big set and you tell Dorian, hey man, I want you to be attacking, right? They're playing a base, the Bills decide to play a base defense. You say, Dorian, attack, go get the football. Bernard, Milano, you're our coverage guys. Make sure we're covered there. I think the Bills can put themselves in a advantageous situation. Yeah. I mean, Mark Andrews is great. I mean, I don't think it needs to be said. We think this Ravens team is excellent. I don't think there's anybody here who's taking shots at him, right? We think Lamar's excellent. I've been a huge fan of his since he got drafted into the league. I like Mark Andrews a lot. I like Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
I think their offensive line is good. I think it's a couple years away. I like Roger Rosengarten a lot. I think over the next couple of years, he could turn into a dominant force. So, all said, it's not any disrespect against the Baltimore Ravens, but I think the narrative has kind of gotten off the tracks a little bit here to where the Ravens are a huge favorite. With the Ravens, if you are a 1-point favorite in Buffalo, that means on a neutral field, they're like a 3.5 to 4-point favorite. And in Baltimore, they're like a 5.5 to 6-point favorite. That's crazy. If this game was in Baltimore and the Bills were a 6-point dog, forget it. I mean, I'm betting Bills all day, every day, and I think most people are too. So I think this game is a lot closer to a pick 'em than a lot of people think. I think the weather is going to affect it. Lamar has openly said he does not like playing in cold weather.
Right.
The coldest game he's ever played was 27 degrees. Derrick
Henry, same thing.
Openly said he does not like playing in cold weather. They're going to have to get over some mental hurdles, whereas a Bills team that has done this before. And, you know, I'm not even talking about the 3 years ago. I'm talking about they played a game that was like 20-something degrees a couple weeks. Yeah, like, I mean, come on. So I do think there's a mental aspect to this where the Bills have confidence that they can play in the weather. And I want to say this, and I want to say it to everybody who's listening and anybody who can hear it anywhere ever, okay? The Bills' advantage has never been, I have a cold weather team and I can run the ball in cold weather. The Bills' best teams have always been, we can throw in the cold weather when you can't.
Right.
That's what the Bills' best teams have been. We don't have to change our offense to play in this weather. And if the Ravens try to or need to change their offense to run heavy to play in this weather, it's an advantage for the Bills because the Bills' offense is not going to change.
Right.
So to me, it's a point that goes unsaid a lot. The advantage of the cold is not, oh, we've got a tough run the ball team. The advantage is our offense, we don't have to change how we call it because it's 0 degrees outside. I like the Bills in this one. I like the Bills on an alternative spread. And I need advice from you fellas because you know how superstitious I am.
Mm-hmm.
All year, I've sat here and told you, here's what I think about this game, but I don't bet it because I don't bet on my own team because I look at it with rose-colored glasses. Is it bad luck if I bet it? Because I can't tell you how much I want to bet Bills -7 at plus 300 right now. Yeah, -7. I think it's more than a one-score game.
6.5.
I don't need to know. I don't need to know if you approve the bet or not. What I need to know is, am I jinxing the team if I place my first bet on the Bills this season this weekend? That's what I need to know.
Nah, you know what?
Because I have full conviction on my team.
I'll do it. I'll double down and do it with you. I'll go ahead and bet the Bills.
I'm not putting a hundo on it, but I'm gonna put $10 on the Bills -7.
Why not? Let's go. I'm down with that.
Let's get weird with it.
Let me tell you something too. Since
David, tell me. Hold on.
Okay.
So you say it's not a jinx, Sterling. David, do you think it's a jinx? He does.
Oh.
All right. So I've got to go to a third party now because you guys are split. I got to go to a third party to decide if this is a jinx or not.
Go to the
All
chat,
right,
baby.
I'll text my guy Pat. Yeah, throw it in the chat. We got one person. I haven't bet on the Bills all year, but the only reason that I haven't bet on the Bills all year is because I feel like my analysis is skewed because I'm a Bills fan.
Sure.
It's not because I thought it would be a jinx if I did bet on the Bills.
It's not crazy though. It's not a crazy bet. You know, it'd be one thing if you were betting against the Patriots back in the glory days, right? But like, no, man. I'll tell you this, and this may help you in your betting process. But since week 8, okay, the Ravens played the Browns, Broncos, Bengals, Steelers, Chargers, Eagles, Giants, Steelers again, Texans, Browns, Steelers. And we talk about how, you know, this defense is kind of just turned into this kind of dog. And I'm not saying that they're not a good defense, but to put these guys in the ranks of a top 5 defense, that to me is suspect considering who you played, right?
Yeah, and I have seen that point last 5 weeks. That the last 5 weeks have not been against high caliber competition. It looked like the Steelers quit last week. I mean, let's be honest about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it looked like the Steelers quit.
And in
against a really bad
games,
quarterback.
Again, you got the Steelers twice in there. You got the Giants, the Texans, and the Browns. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Director Ian says it's not a jinx. John says it's not a jinx. Vonador trying to take shots says Bills fans all look alike. I got news for you. I'm the fat ass.
Sterling and I are actually brothers, though, so that makes sense. Twins,
bald and bearded.
Twins,
so
yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep the poll going. You can hit us up on social media. You can see them across the bottom. Mine is at Rob T Radio. Hit me up. Tell me if you think it's a jinx if I bet on the Bill. We'll leave it up to the people. You know, is it a jinx if I bet Bills -7 or not? Listen, man, I don't think this game, I have too much confidence in this game. I don't know why, but I have too much confidence in this game. I think the narrative has gotten off the rails a little bit. And Raven for life says the cold. The cold is going to help us rerun the ball. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, guys, anything else you want to throw? Oh, I do want to do this. Okay, so money line, who do you got? Bills and Ravens.
Oh,
well,
I'm going Bills.
If we're all willing to take Buffalo -7.
Well, sometimes the numbers, sometimes the amount of money that you can make on a bet is worth placing the bet, even if you don't believe in it. So, you know, I just got to check and make sure. Are you guys money line Bills here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's picking the Bills. That means we're all chalk for our AFC and NFC championship games. It's Eagles at Lions and Bills at Chiefs. If we're doing that, tell me who your picks are. Let's start with Eagles at Lions.
I'm going with the Lions. Give me the Lions in that game.
Okay. Anything that you want to say about that, or you're just going Lions?
I don't think the Lions are going to – I mean, the Eagles are going to make it past today, right, or tomorrow. But, no, I just think, you know, what we saw from the Lions last year and being so close, right, so close, I think they're knocking on the doorstep again. I think that team is really good. It's solid. I have a hard time betting against the Lions that represent the NFC in the Super Bowl if the Rams don't. But, yeah, I think that's a really good matchup. You know, matchup-wise, both sides of the ball, you know, they're almost neck and neck. But I got to go with Jared Goff and the boys on that one.
Okay. David, who do you like there?
I think you are going to have an absolute rager in Detroit if they are one game away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the way that team is coached and the way the team is playing with all the injuries, with everything else, it is going to be deafening. And I think they're going to be used to it. They're going to get everybody to quiet down when they're on offense, and they're going to make it fucking horrible for Philadelphia to try and call a play or audible or anything else. They're going to have to go silent count. It's going to throw stuff off. So I think I'd go the Lions there as well.
Interesting. We got to address some of these comments before we move on to the AFC side. Bills 3-3 against playoff teams. Zay Flowers the only concern on the Ravens end. Zay Flowers looks like he's doubtful, and we've got people like G saying, "Oh, you got 6 guaranteed wins in the division every year." These are people who pick the Jets and the Dolphins to win the division, no doubt.
Right.
But sure, okay. So the division's a little bit weaker. Who are you putting up against our division for your division? The Steelers, who quit last week, like. Those are your playoff teams that you've beaten.
Browns.
Congratulations.
Yeah. The Bengals who don't have a defense.
I mean,
I guess my other question is,
I guess everybody
Kansas
just
City?
forgot. We're right. I guess everybody just forgot that there was only one team that beat the 2-1 seeds in both divisions. Oh yeah, that was the Bills. That's the only team in history to win 2 games against 15-win teams in NFL history. But whatever. That's fine. We'll just act like. And then our producer Ian with the note: does James Cook not exist in this world for the Ravens fans when we're talking about running in the cold? Apparently not. I don't know. G says, nope, y'all have the best QB in the division. Do you not? Do the Ravens not have the best QB in that division? Are you openly saying that Joe Burrow is better than is that the point you're trying to make, that you don't have the best QB in the division? Oh, all right. Listen to the Ravens trolls. It's hilarious.
It's wonderful.
It's so good. Let's go with the AFC side of things with the picks that you guys have made. We have made. It's Bills at Chiefs for the AFC Championship game. Again, another meeting with the witch and the wizard. David, who do you like in that one?
If the Bills make it through Baltimore, Josh Allen is going to be on a fucking mission. Like he has been all year. And I think this is the year they come up with a better game plan. The defense and coaching don't let the offense down. And Josh Allen plays lights out, being 1 game away from the Super Bowl. I'd be taking Buffalo.
Hold on. Legend of Block Party says, when someone says an NFL level QB can't read defenses, I can't take you seriously. Who said that?
I think somebody in the chat said it.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. I was like, hold on. We talk so much about how we have respect for Lamar and love him. I think he's a great quarterback. Do not come in here saying that we said that garbage, because I will not stand for it.
Yeah,
right.
G said it.
Okay, all right. I won't get all upset about it, but I was about ready to throw hands here. David, so you're saying if the Bills make it to Kansas City, the Bills beat Kansas City?
Correct.
All right. And Sterles, what do you got here?
Oh, I'm going Bills. The Bills came out with a hoodie this week that says "Destiny is Calling." Kind of playing off the Killer song that they play in the stadium that you'll hear tomorrow if you watch the game. I think it's the Bills' year. I really do. I mean, when you look at greatness, you look at quarterbacks, and all these guys, well, most of these guys typically make it to the Super Bowl. And I think this is Josh Allen, this Bills team. This is their year. The metrics say a lot, especially from an offensive standpoint. This team is a wagon. You should be hitched to it. But looking at the Chiefs, I mean, their luck has to run out soon, right? I mean, come on, 3 Super Bowls back to back to back. I mean, that hasn't been done in NFL history, and I don't foresee it happening.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants it. I just don't foresee that happening this year. I mean, you can only play with death for so long before you get got. And the Chiefs have been riding death for weeks. And I'm just tired of seeing it. I hope they lose today. But if it comes down to Bills and Chiefs, I got to go Bills.
If they lose, let's throw that scenario out there just real quickly.
Okay.
Because we've done a lot of proposed scenarios here. In these picks that we've made, it would be a Lions Bills Super Bowl, and that would be fun. I think most of America would be signed up for that one. Yeah. But anyways, so let's throw that out here. Let's say, because the Ravens and the Bills are going to know what the matchups are when they kick off. Meaning, if Houston beats Kansas City, both teams will know that they are playing that game to host an AFC championship game. does that change your perspective on it at all? If Houston does pull off an upset against Kansas City, not that we're predicting it, but
Right.
let's just say hypothetically, if Houston does pull off an upset against Kansas City and both teams know this is for a chance to host an AFC title game and you don't have to beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, tell me if you think that messes with the game at all, David.
No, because obviously for both teams, if they could host, that's amazing for that team. The Bills being the higher seed, obviously, a AFC Championship game in Buffalo in the cold against an indoor Houston team. Yeah,
And
I want that.
listen,
I want
Book
that.
it.
I mean, Maryland isn't going to be any warmer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
Maryland isn't going to be any easier on them. It will be a little bit easier on them than Buffalo weather-wise, but you know, if Houston has to go outdoors to either one of those teams, I think it's a big spread that they're going to have to chew up there. Sterls, if these teams know it's to host an AFC Championship game before kickoff, you think that messes with it at all?
No. I mean, these two teams they're the best in the league, in my opinion, or one of the best in the league. And I just think these two quarterbacks, man, there's so much riding on the line for legacy. You know, I don't think they're going to look forward or look ahead. You know, I think they're going to be zoned in, ready to play. But it's going to be a hell of a game. I cannot wait to see these guys square off. Love Lamar Jackson, love Josh Allen. But I think these coaches aren't going to let them look ahead. The players themselves, I don't think are going to look ahead. I mean, I think, you know, everybody's kind of said that whoever wins this game is probably is going to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the picks. That's the media hype train going on there. But I would have to agree. I think it's true.
We've talked about how far the media narrative has gotten away from reality in this one. So I don't know that I love that conversation being had. You really believe that, Sterls?
If the Bills make it to the AFC Championship game, I think they're going to beat the Chiefs to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So yeah, the winner of this game, I think, goes.
All right, interesting. One more comment. There's a lot of garbage going on in the chat right now, but I do want to point out this one because I do think it's an interesting question. And the last one I'll ask you guys before we get out of here. No, that's part of the garbage, David. Legend of Block Party says, I think Bills fans want the Chiefs to lose. I think Ravens fans want to get back. And so I'll ask you this. Would you, if you are guaranteed a win this week, would you rather have the Chiefs on the plate, so that is another dragon you can slay on the way, right? Another demon you can kill, or would you rather have Houston be there and have a championship game at home, David?
I'd rather have a championship game at home. Anybody who says different is fucking lying to you. I don't give a shit what anything in this chat says. If you tell me you have the choice to go to Kansas City and slay the dragon, or have somebody come to your house with your crowd going fucking nuts, and they would prefer to go beat the Chiefs, get fucked. You're lying to yourself.
Yeah,
you're lying to us.
the players don't even think. The players don't even think that way. You know, like it's crazy to me that fans would even say that. I mean, you play who's in front of you, but man, you'd be fucking hard pressed not to say, hey, if we're guaranteed to win tomorrow, and the Houston Texans stand in the way. Oh, by the way, I've seen CJ Stroud play in the cold. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. So bring me that all day.
Baltimore doesn't want to have a block party in Baltimore before this game.
I want no part of the Chiefs any day of the week. None.
You see our social medias; they're right here. Go ahead, get on X and put your name on it. And Ravens fans, send us the tweet that says, I'd rather play Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City than Houston at home. Send me that tweet. I will bookmark it. And if the Bills happen to lose and then you go get blitzed in Kansas City, I'll go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, put your name on it. That's all I want.
And there's a Baltimore 45, Buffalo 3 prediction in the comments. If you want to make an actual bet on that, you have my tag. It's right there on the screen. I will take your money. Please and thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for that to happen, you'd have to have, in my opinion, a quarterback injury and a whole bunch of other stuff happen that I don't want to see it on either side. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't when and this is a nice point to end on, but when Lamar went down in the divisional round a few years back, there's a reason Bills fans donated a bunch of money to charity. That's not how we want to win it. You know what I mean? Like, so hopefully we don't see that on either side, because if the score is 45-3, something went seriously wrong. And that's going to ruin everybody's night. You know what I mean? So I don't want that. All right. Well, there's nothing left to do but see Fitz's chest hair before we kick this game off on Sunday night. Anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Go
No,
Bills.
man. Go Bills. Go Bills all the way. We're going to do the damn thing this year.
All right. Make sure you follow us on social media. We will be back next week with a preview. Guys, let's do some producing on air. You want to do Sunday next week, or do you want to do Saturday? Games will only be Sunday.
You'll be without me because I will be on a ship.
Man's going to be on a boat. All right. So David and I will be here on Sunday to preview championship weekend. And Sterls, when are you getting on that boat? Are we doing a Tuesday too?
Yeah, my schedule is the same. I leave on Saturday morning, so I'm good.
So right here on this YouTube channel, Buffalo Media Network, you can catch us on Tuesday. We'll be talking about this game no matter what happens. I might be a sad boy with a drink in my hand, or a happy boy with a drink in my hand. We'll see. And Sterls, what else you got going on this channel over the next little bit here?
I think that's about it. You're going to see me and TD here on Thursday, and we're going to kind of wrap up the week, if you will, or see what we got going on if the Bills are still in it. So the Charge Buffalo podcast will be on Thursday.
All right, you can catch that all right here on these same channels. I think we about up out of here, fellas. I know that's your line, Sterling, so just give me a go Bills. Like, let's go.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills. We out of here. Peace, y'all.
Hot on the mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bills Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.